Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on one thing, single barrels. Best of all, you can try before you buy. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution so you know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and who from the industry may be coming in to visit. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers traveling minibars that are no bigger than a small purse or toiletry bag. Best of all, they are fully customizable so you can create the perfect piece that is unique for you. If you own your own business, what a fun and unique way to promote what you do. Check them out online at thebartogo.com. That is the number 2 in the Bar to Go. If you have wholesale questions, call my friend Isabel Clark at 504-481-1297. Finally, we are sponsored by the Neely Family Distillery. NFD is a family-owned business that keeps ringing up awards in the spirits world. Head to Sparta, Kentucky to experience the family history, award-winning spirits, and meet the Neely family. Check them out online at neelyfamilydistillery.com. Now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we complete a bracket challenge to determine the best type of whiskey outside of bourbon. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Bill Collin, Evan Neaters, and Tim Swyatt.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
What's happening? Hello.
Evan Neaters show here. It's a bracket challenge to determine the best non-bourbon whiskey. So looking at another style of whiskey, what is the best one when you toss bourbon out? We'll get to that after the break. For right now, McNew said there's something she want to talk about. What is that, McNew?
Yeah, so what is the dumbest thing you've ever seen someone save or collect because they think it might be valuable someday?
Holy hammer!
Beanie Babies
how many dumb
stands
things
out right away.
Seriously,
Yeah.
lists
Beanie
are
Babies.
endless.
Oh.
Odin's beard. That's a tough one.
My kid has started collecting empty bottles that he did not drink of Prime, of the energy drink Prime.
Really?
Why are we collecting those?
He was told that they released one super rare bottle that was only sold on a tropical island for 5 hours. So now he doesn't want to. True story. I mean, he's told me that, not that that's a true story.
Right.
So he doesn't want to miss the window to miss out on a super rare bottle of empty Prime that he could have. So my 9-year-old son collecting empty bottles of an overhyped energy drink surely has got to crack the top 10 on this.
Hopefully he gets one of those island releases one day.
I don't think that's actually a thing.
I'm gonna roll with bobbleheads.
Bobbleheads.
Oh, I like bobbleheads.
They give away at the games?
Yeah.
Yes, there's too many of them. Now, if you have a few, that's fine. But the problem is when you go to so many games or you frequent certain places, it's that and those. What are the little mini guy too? The little mini
Pop Funkos.
those guys. That's ridiculous. That's along in the same category.
There's whole shops that do nothing but sell those. There's whole
It's amazing to me.
I'm gonna go to Funko Shop.
Them too. Like they get obsessed with being like, I have to have the whole collection from the show, and I'm like, but why? And I don't think they're that. I also don't think they're cute. I think they're ugly.
Right.
So I don't really get the whole concept of them. But
I just need a Ross to complete my friend set. So if anybody out there is listening, it has that. Let me know.
Anybody got a Ross
Yeah,
Funko
Ross
out
Funko,
there?
yeah.
Steve's
Let
in
me
the
know.
market.
Let me know. I've been trying to get the Ross. That's the
He's in the
tough one.
market.
That's the tough one. That's yeah.
Well, he's a paleontologist. It's difficult.
It's difficult. So okay, all right. Who else? Anyone else?
Tim, for the record, my wife would agree with you because there was a time I had a lot of bobbleheads and we stopped being 27, so it didn't make sense to have them display above the fireplace. So I put them in a box and I made a joke that this will fund our college career for our kiddos, tuition because they'll be worth so much.
Well, sure.
And when we were moving a year ago, she looked at the box, looked at me and said, "How's the college tuition coming?" And I said, not so good, really. And I had to negotiate being able to continue to store them in a box.
Mine ended up like the leg lamp. Yeah, mine ends up like the leg lamp in Christmas Story. All of a sudden, they're accidents and they're broken. That's how they find their way out of the house.
Okay.
they broke.
No. That was my mom was a bowler when I was a kid, and she was on a bowling league, and she got pretty good for a league only because she didn't, she was a housewife and she didn't have a job other than taking care of the kids, and it meant she was available during the day, and everyone else in the league was in their 70s or 80s. So my
I was
mom
just going to say, it was the senior league.
So my mom was like in her 30s.
The Silver Rollers League.
She's dominating this league.
Where's
And she's winning all these trophies. And I guess it got to my dad, who was a sports guy and all this. And my mom just got all these trophies. And they were displayed on this ledge going down the basement steps. And I'm telling you, my dad went on a for some reason, he got real clumsy going down the steps for like a year. And it took him 3 trips down the steps. But over those 3 falls, he managed to take out every one of them trophies. And those trophies were removed from the steps. Yeah. Yeah, he risked injury to do that.
What a clumsy man.
Oh, yeah.
Happens.
Yeah. My dad, what was so great about that is my dad would be walking around and here's how he'd get dressed. He would walk around in the morning. He got up too goddamn early. You have to see him as he's getting ready to go to work mode. That was a t-shirt, underwear, and I'm talking tighty-whitey underwear, black socks, dress socks, his shoes, and then he would go downstairs to get his pants, where my mom would have the pants because she pressed them downstairs. He'd walk down the steps. So as he's falling down the steps, he's in this outfit of his shoes, his underwear, and he's taking out
your
trophies.
Public service announcement, kids. Don't walk downstairs with socks.
Yeah. Well, he had shoes
Happens.
on. He had shoes on.
Shoes before the pants is my
He put the shoes before the pants.
Really?
Yeah.
Shoes before the pants?
Yeah, he put the shoes before the pants.
Well, he knows because he slipped down the stairs wearing socks, and he couldn't get away with being clumsy and knocking down the trophies if he wore socks all the time.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah, he was forced to.
Oh,
Was the underwear?
He thought it was a life hack before someone invented it. I know McNew doesn't like that. But before someone invented that, he thought it was because he's like, I'll tell you what, kid, then that way you don't have to bend over with your pants on to put your shoes on. It's easier. I'm like, to me, it's not easier. No, he felt it was.
He might have a point.
He found a better way.
The belt can be, restrictive. He might have had a good point there.
He didn't want to have to bend down. I don't go for
Papa
that.
Akeley was living in 2060, is what he was doing. He figured it out.
Yeah, he knew. He
That was
knew.
a life hack before life hacks.
Yeah, he was like, one day, Steve, let me tell you something. One day, someone's going to invent the internet. I said, okay, Dad, what's the internet? And he's like, then he explained it to me, and he said, after they invent the internet, someone's going to, on a social media site, invent something they call a life hack, and this is going to be one of those. Please tell this story, Steve. Tell this story, because they're also going to invent something called podcast, and you're going to get one, kid, and I want you to tell that story. And I was like, yes, sir.
Get the word out there.
Plot holes in the.
Did he also tell you to run away from large gentlemen in leather and sunglasses that come to say, I'm here to meet you. I know your father, or something like that. There's like a Terminator storyline here.
Come with me if you want to live.
I think so. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. On this note, it is time to drink. What is everyone drinking? Let's start with Evan. Let's call him Evan Von Nieters. Wouldn't his name be so much cooler if he was Evan Von Nieters?
I know.
Very much so.
Yeah, I'm Evan Von Nieters.
Interesting. I'll take that. Well, since we're talking about other things besides bourbon, I have a Canadian whiskey. I have a Caribou Crossing.
Yeah.
Okay. Solid. Probably going to be enough to win this thing, I predict. We'll see. All right. McNew.
What's his secret? What does he do? What's happening?
New bottles. All new bottles.
All new bottles.
He's got to be in for like $2,000 already with all the podcasts I've been out with him.
Oh, yeah. He's got that thing. He'll throw them away in the morning.
5 at a time?
Yeah.
Jet.
Like bourbon. He just likes popping new bottles. He gets
Yeah.
I don't like it. I just like popping the bottles.
This one trick will win you the cork pop every time.
All right, McNew, what do you got?
I have some Henry A. Sykes from Hard Truth.
No, nothing going on there.
This cork's
What's
I'm gonna go
happening
next.
over there?
Wollersheim, 134 proof.
That's a
134
good
proof.
one.
Machi.
Guess what? Brand new bottle. I'm going
Brand
right
new
after
bottle.
I'm going after him.
Von Nieters.
Neck to
What you
neck.
got?
Here we go, Von Nieters. Slide on the set. Oh!
Ooh.
That sounds like the sound of victory. We'll see. I have the lead. All right, Phil, you're next.
Well, you guys are acting like there's a $10,000 grand prize on the line here. I'm just going to sit here with my bottle of Old Granddad 114 that's half empty and hope for the best.
We heard it.
That was
Phil.
cute.
That was your best quote.
That was better than all the other ones.
That was better than any other one he's done.
That was cute. I got to move them. I figured out. I cracked the code. We're in great shape.
He's got it. He's got moving forward. Good things are going to happen. All right.
The next one better be great.
Be phenomenal. You bet your sweet ass it's going to be great.
I'm yielding to greatness here. I'm yielding to Steve Akeley. I got a screw top. I've got the Hakushu 12-year-old Japanese whiskey.
Oh, nice.
It is a screw top.
No.
Hard to believe.
Congratulations to me. By the way, this was the mystery show. The winner of today's Cork Pop wins a check for $1,000. Cheers to me. I won.
Wow.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Spectacular.
Oh, what are the chances? All right. What we'll do next?
Who knew?
We'll take a quick break. And then, what do you, that's 80 proof, that stuff you got there. The fake Blantons, the Canadian Blantons. No, I'm not talking to you.
Well, Canadian Blantons?
I'm talking to Von Nieters.
Guess what? I didn't overpay for it.
Well, that doesn't make it good. But yeah, okay.
Got a great cork, though. I love the
It does have a great cork. It has a good look to it. It's a good looking product.
It has an okay look to it.
I like it.
I even got the box and the bag with it.
Better than Rock Hill
How about
Farms?
that? I think we can agree. It's got the best look of any Canadian whiskey bottle. I think that probably we can agree.
I mean, yeah, that's good looking.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
They come with the bag and the box.
The bag and the box. It's Canadian Blantons.
For under $65.
Canadian.
What's going to happen when you go to Key West Von Nieters and you're sitting there next to the Crown Royal guys? He's got his sack in a Crown Royal bag, and you got yours with your Caribou Crossing bag. There we go. That's some good YouTube video right there.
Match made in heaven right there.
Yeah. So there you go.
Match made in Key West.
Is there really a Crown Royal guy?
Oh yeah, there's a Crown Royal guy.
Phil. Yes.
You
need to meet him.
Who's the Crown Royal guy?
He hangs out on the beach. He only wears a Crown Royal bag.
Oh,
that's it.
He hangs out.
That's all he's wearing. That's all.
He lives in Key West.
Yes. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
He lives in Key
hangs
West, and he goes to the beach. And
say no more.
Crown Royal
Message
bag.
received.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, it's going to be Bourbon Bracket Challenge time. We'll do that in just a few. Okay, let's talk about the people that make these shows happen. First up is the Stave and Thief Society. Via their in-person class at Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky, the Stave and Thief Society is the place where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge an executive bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my executive bourbon steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. We're also sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop focuses exclusively on barrel picks. It's the job of owners Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot to seek out distilleries that are making the best whiskey in the world, taste through their barrels, and select the ones that are off-profile in the best way possible. They have high standards and refuse to allow anything into their store other than something they would be proud to have their name on. This leads to some really awkward conversations with distilleries that can't make it, but they do it for you, their customers. Learn more about what is going on at their St. Louis-based store by heading over to abvbarrelshop.com. Last but not least, we are sponsored by Neely Family Distillery. Royce Neely is the 11th generation distiller in one of America's oldest distilling families. A visit to Neely Family Distillery takes you through family history, where you can see all the artifacts and newspaper clippings through the years from this family that started distilling in America after James Neely arrived from Northern Ireland in 1740. Today, Royce Neely and his team are crafting some of the best spirits in America. Their bourbon and absinthe offerings keep winning top honors in the spirits competitions. Recently, their absinthe made history as the first platinum winner in the absinthe category at the San Francisco Spirits Competition. Neely Family Distillery is definitely a bucket list destination if you are a bourbon fan. Learn more about their spirit offerings, visiting their facility, and the awards they have collected over at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com.
This is Mudcat Mike from MB Roland Distillery. You're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we have a bourbon bracket challenge to determine the best non-bourbon whiskey.
Yes, we do. So here's the challengers. It's Scotch, Canadian whiskey, Irish whiskey, rye, Japanese whiskey, wheated whiskey, light whiskey, or American single malt. Those are our
Steve,
challenges.
you said those so passively. Let's get excited about these great offerings.
Oh, God. Here comes the game show guy coming out.
Yeah.
Let's get ready to rumble. Scotch.
All right.
Canadian whiskey.
It was like
too far
the
the other
time,
direction.
the time Ryan Thompson was the announcer. He announced your name like you were getting ready to box somebody in the ring.
Oh, nice.
Steve Akeley.
McNew apparently is pooping. We got the pooping emoji.
As Darren would say, that's so flaccid.
It's flaccid.
Yeah,
All right.
it's flaccid.
All right. Here's how they're going to break out. Rye will take on Scotch, round number 1. Light whiskey takes on Japanese whiskey. That's round 2. Round number 3, American single malt takes on wheated whiskey. And then finally, Canadian whiskey takes on Irish whiskey. Round number 1, up first is Evan. Evan, what do you think? Rye whiskey or Scotch? Which is a better whiskey style?
For me, I've always generally gravitated towards ryes, and I think even more that I get into the finding more things. I think I like ryes more and more. I'm going to go with ryes.
Rye goes up 1-0. Tim, what do you think? Rye or Scotch? Preferred whiskey style?
I would argue that there are 6 regions of Scotch that are made because you forget about the islands outside of Islay. So I do feel that there are a lot more variations and flavors to discover with Scotch than rye as of right now. I'm going to go with Scotch.
Scotch has tied it up. Phil, what do you think? Rye or Scotch?
I think my family has some deep Scottish roots going back to a Scottish warrior named Angus Og. And I channel my inner caber toss and love of haggis. And I can't vote against the whole country's whiskey production for this one. So I'm going Scotch.
Scotch has taken the lead. It is up 2-1.
That's Angus Og, if anyone wants to Google my family genealogy.
All right. McNew, what do you think? Rye or Scotch?
I am wildly surprised by these results, but I'm going to go rye.
Rye. So she goes rye. It is now tied up 2-2 with Scotch. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to stick a fork in something that needed to have a fork stuck in it years ago. Goodbye, Scotch.
Oh, no.
Rye moves on.
I will find you Scotch that you will enjoy.
Yeah. So I just don't understand when we invented the rotary phone. You don't find rotary phones anymore. They're gone. She gone. We've got push button phones. We've got the touch screen phones. We don't need any of that stuff anymore. We're beyond Scotch. Goodbye, Scotch. See ya.
Breaking news: the ABV network has been banned in the area of Scotland and cannot be heard or enjoyed from Dublin to Glasgow.
Yes,
they've canceled the ABV network sponsorship at the local caber toss in Inverness, and no longer is it going to be the ABV network tattooed on the side of that log.
I love it.
Get an ABV single barrel over there. We'll change your mind.
Yeah, there you go. Light whiskey versus Japanese whiskey. What do we think is the better style? Up first in this round is Tim.
Japanese, no question.
Japanese, no question. Phil, what do you think?
Yeah, this should be a no-brainer. I feel like light whiskey is here just to fill out 8 names. It's Japanese.
Japanese goes up 2-1. McNew, what do you think?
I'm just going to agree and close this out. I'm going Japanese too.
Japanese moves on.
So, Steve, I will say a definition of light whiskey for our fans probably makes a lot of sense. And we learned this on our flagship whiskey event with the folks from Rye 3. So you do have a bottle that's 16-year light whiskey. It has to be distilled above 160.
Above 160.
But then aged in a barrel.
Correct. A used barrel. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's not vodka that's distilled above 190. It's like 160 to 190 is the target, and then they do age it. They use barrel. So there was some confusion. A lot of us learned some stuff there on that.
Okay.
Tim, I have a question.
With that bottle you have.
Is there a proving requirement for when it goes into the bottle?
I don't believe that. Well, it's got to be above 80. I think by definition with all whiskey, it's got to be above 80. But what you'll find is the light whiskeys come in closer to almost 130 to 120 to 130 is what they were saying, and they use that light whiskey as a filler for the blends.
Correct.
To give a bigger pop
So
what they have.
Just to define light whiskey a little bit, and again, it's eliminated, but we'll talk about it a little.
Right, I just think it's fair.
Light whiskey. There's a lot of misconceptions about it out there. What is light whiskey? Why is it correct? Light whiskey is distilled over 160 for a specific reason, to remove flavors. Because what you're looking for is something that is utilized to extend products. So you've got a very great tasting bourbon. You think you then incorporate light whiskey, which is whiskey like. Even though it would go over the rules of whiskey, you're creating a blend. Then you're no longer whiskey, but you're preserving, in theory, the taste of that whiskey. But now what happens is it's in that used cooperage, and people have let it stay in there for years and years. So a lot of the light whiskeys that you see are between, I would say at the low end, we're seeing 14, 15-year-old stuff. And then at the high end, 25 and 26-year-old stuff. And over time, the stuff that is kind of supposed to be a little bit more on the neutral side takes on some very interesting flavors. When you're talking about when it is well aged, that 22, 23, 24, it gets some very interesting flavors. And so light whiskey's kind of taken off a little bit. People are kind of rediscovering it. I don't know. I think it's more just they want to have something different than anything else. Though we've got a light whiskey in the store right now, selling great, and it's very good stuff. I mean, it's dessert like it's
like melted vanilla ice cream after it's been sitting in the bowl for a while. I thought Fosnot did it right. Yeah. So I apologize for jumping and scratching the record, but I thought light whiskey, just giving a little definition there, Steve. It's not stuff that's under 80 proof. That's where a lot of people went to, like, oh, it's under 80 proof, it's nothing. No, it's very, very different. But it still doesn't be Japanese.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff.
Yeah. All right, round number 3. It's going to be Phil. You're going to be first. American single malt or wheated whiskey. So we're not talking about wheated bourbon here. We're talking about wheated whiskey, at least 51% wheat.
Steve, what's your favorite wheated whiskey out there?
That's a tough category because there's not a lot of good ones. You got to go to the world of craft.
You answered my question for me. American single malt it is.
Yeah.
Let the record show, Steve said there's not a lot of good ones out there when it came
to name the biggest name I don't like, so I don't want to say the biggest name, but I'm not. Does
it rhyme with Fernheim?
Yeah, well, you can answer that for yourself. I didn't say that. All right, round number 3. Phil has said
I've been fuddled, Steve.
American single malt is up 1-0. McNew, what do you think? American single malt or wheated whiskey?
So I love wheated bourbon, right? That was my go-to for years and years. Wheated whiskey, I have not liked. And I was very disappointed in almost all of them I've ever tried. American single malts are a movement. They've been fantastic. A lot of love and thought have been put into those. I'm going to go American single malt.
Yes. I'm going to go American single malt too. There's some single malts out there that are incredible. Yeah. And try the new Jack Daniel's one. It's a travel thing, so it's if you're flying somewhere international, pick up a bottle of that JD single malt. Man, it's good stuff.
If you're flying to Scotland, where other single malts are made too, as well, then maybe you can.
Maybe you want a good one. Maybe you want to have a good one that versus that
American made.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. So American single malts. Move on.
Goodbye, wheated whiskey.
Wheated whiskey, gone. Canadian whiskey or Irish whiskey? Canadian or Irish? Round number 4, up first is McNew. Canadian or Irish?
Irish.
Irish, she says. I think, like we talked about light whiskey, trying to be neutral, Irish whiskey is kind of neutral to me. It's typically a one flavor note. I don't say it's offensive, but I also don't like it. It also tends to be very low proof. Most of them are 80 proof. I'm not an Irish whiskey fan, and Canadian whiskey at its worst is just terrible. It just is terrible stuff. But at its best, there's some really good Canadian whiskeys. And I tell you what, if someone said, okay, we got to eliminate everything else, and all you can choose from is Canadian whiskey or Irish, 100% I'm going to go Canadian because there is some really good stuff in there. So I'm going Canadian here. So Canadian for me. Is going to get my vote. What do you think, Evan? Canadian or Irish?
I think I'm kind of along the same lines with you, Steve. I have yet to try an Irish whiskey that really stands out to me, yet I've had a couple Canadian whiskeys that have really stood out to me, so I'm going to go Canadian.
Canadian goes up 2-1 over Irish. Next up is Tim.
I will show you a ton of Irish whiskeys that you haven't had yet.
There you go, Tim. Thank you, sir.
So a little fun fact about the Irish. The reason why they added unmalted barley into their recipes is it's a big middle finger back to the crown.
Yeah.
Because they are not taxed on unmalted barley. They were taxed on malted barley. That's why they didn't do 100% malted barley. Yeah. So I'm giving a shout out to the Irish on the big middle finger to the big man and staying true to the craft.
Okay. That means we're tied up here. We're knotted up, Phil. It's going to go to you for the tiebreaker. Canadian and Irish are tied up. What do you think?
I'm on Team Tim and I guess Team McNew. I think Irish whiskey plays an important part of the overall whiskey spectrum. It's good to have on shelf. It's an entry whiskey for a lot of people looking to get into it. It's a great bar call. I think we'd be in deep trouble if we were to eliminate Irish whiskey from existence. I'm keeping them and saying hail and farewell to Canadian whiskey.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So here's where we're at. Our final four looks like this. Rye is going to take on Japanese whiskey. American single malt will take on Irish whiskey. Round number 5, I am first. This is easy. Rye whiskey for sure. It's if after bourbon, I think rye is the king. If bourbon was eliminated, rye is it for me. You're listening to Rye Daily the next day, so that's gonna be for me. Evan, what do you think? Rye or Japanese?
Same range.
I'm right there with you, Steve. I mean, ryes and bourbons for me. Honestly, those are my top two. So yeah, ryes.
Ryes goes up 2-0. Tim, what do you think?
Now, this may surprise folks here a little bit. I am going to go with rye, and the reason why is because Japanese whiskey finally has received their requirements to be transparent, and there's been a lot of shenanigans in the Japanese whiskey category until about 2021, 2022, when they finally formally defined the category. Because rye is more defined and more transparent, I'm going to go with rye.
Rye, yeah. Japanese basically was just looking over the shoulder of Scotch and just cheating.
It was imported Scotch whiskey.
What are they doing over there?
Yeah,
what's that like? Yeah. We'll set rules. Well, not rules. Maybe some loose guidelines.
For your well-known and the distilleries that do produce Japanese whiskey, it is spectacular and exquisite and a fine product.
There's some great
There's a
Japanese
lot of
whiskey.
garbage on the shelf. There's a lot of garbage on the shelf there.
There is a lot. All right, round number 6 is going to look like this. Evan, you're going to be first. It's American single malts or Irish? What do you think is the better of the two categories here?
USA. I'm sticking American single malts.
American single malts goes up 1-0. Tim, what do you think? American single malts or Irish?
Irish.
Irish has tied it up. Round number 6. Phil, you're next. American
Tim,
single malts or Irish?
If the Bourbon Daily were a book, you and I would be on the same page tonight in most of our answers. I think American single malt is yet to have its day in the sun. It's still a growing category. There's not a lot of offerings. I think Irish whiskey is the check here. Move forward with Irish whiskey.
Okay. Irish whiskey goes up 2-1. McNew, you're next.
I'm going to tie this up with American single malt.
You're just being a contrarian. You just have to go to a tiebreaker.
American single malt has tied it up.
Saucy.
Means I get the tiebreaker. Goodbye, 80 proofers by Irish.
There's so much more to Irish whiskey.
It doesn't matter.
Take your 80 proof one note song and get the fuck out. See you, Irish.
Oh my God, I'm doing a tasting at the barrel shop with Irish whiskey now. That's it.
Irish
fuck
whiskey
it. I did a Canadian one. I opened up people's eyes. We're doing an Irish.
But it's also not good. It's like one of those things. It's like it could be on the menu at a restaurant, but why would you ever order it? It's one of those foods. It's just so. Why would you ever order that? It doesn't need to be there. We don't.
There is not a wide. Yes, the establishments are not putting Irish whiskey, although it is the fastest growing distilled spirit, I believe, in the last couple of years because there's so many distilleries.
Well, it makes sense when you get down to what 2 or 3 distilleries they got down to.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's easy to grow when you get down to
bingo
0.
When you're the bottom of the barrel, it's easy to get up there fast. So yes.
Bango.
Yeah. All right, round number 7 looks like this.
Here we go.
Rye whiskey or American single malt?
Oh.
What do we think is the best category here that is not bourbon? So we're not bourbon, so it's rye or American single malt. Tim, you're first. Round number 7, this is it.
Bitch, this is a good one. This is probably the best one we've had in a long time. Von Nieder's, nice call. on this.
Appreciate it.
You're going as Von Wieners going forward now. You know you're never going to lose this. Now this is it.
I'll take it.
If your Instagram handle's not Von Nieters going forward, there's something wrong with you. Shit. Rye whiskey.
Rye whiskey goes up 1-0. Phil, what do you think? Rye whiskey or American single malt?
When I go to the used car store and I buy my 1991 old beat-up BMW, I'm going to give it a nickname, and I'm going to call it the Rye Rambler, because that's how much I love rye whiskey next to bourbon whiskey. And I think that rye whiskey is a wonderful, wonderful creation. So tip of the hat to the inventor of rye whiskey, and they get my vote.
Whoever you are. All right, McNew, what do you think? Rye whiskey, which is up 2-0. You can end this thing. Or you can give American single malt life in this game. What are you thinking?
So at this point in my drinking career, if I'm not drinking bourbon, I'm probably going to reach for a rye at this point.
Yep.
So I am going to go with rye.
Rye whiskey, and there it is. That is our champion. Rye whiskey wins, survives all the others, and it is the second best style after bourbon. There you go.
What a battle! What a
battle! I think that would have been a clean
was a good
sweep.
one.
Well done, Evan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And folks who are like, well, Scotch, I get it. If you love Scotch, you love Scotch. Everyone's palates are different, and we're a bourbon-focused show, and it makes sense. It makes sense that rye would be the winner here. So,
There's people who eat paint chips, so
there's nothing wrong with what you like.
Exactly.
Why do you think we're a bourbon-focused show?
We are.
That's what Steve wants to focus on.
Oh, Bourbon Daily. I get it now. I never got it before.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah, you never
it makes sense.
I'll tell you what, listen to the show. You might not even get that we're a bourbon show half the time. So I understand where you're coming from.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right, we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Evan, we're going to start with you, or Von Nieters, I guess I should just call you.
You can find me on Facebook at Evan Nieters, and maybe on Instagram soon at Von Nieters.
Got to check that for availability. Yeah, good stuff.
We'll see how that's going.
All right, Tim, how about you?
You can find me searching for Von Nieters on Instagram while I'm on Instagram at SwyGuy2112.
All right, Phil.
It's all one word. It rolls off the tongue. It's a thing of beauty. Derby City Phil, both on Twitter and Instagram.
Almost as good as Von Nieters.
Almost.
Yeah, almost.
It's almost as good as Von Nieters, yes.
Yeah, all right. McNew, how about you?
I am on Instagram at McNew, ABV.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website, abvnetwork.com. That's the one you got to check out. All of our previous shows are on there. So much more. abvnetwork.com. Maybe you want to go back. You want to listen to all the shows written by our good friend Von Nieters. They're out there. You just got to search them. With the exception of one. We got one more coming out after this. So you'll have to wait in the catalog till that one comes out. So our friend Von Nieters has been prolific in his writing. So good stuff. Come by and see us, the ABV Barrel Shop. You never know what's going on. We had Bernie Lubbers in this week presenting us with an award of distinction. We had Jason Bronner stop in to do a barrel pick. He's like, who wants to do a barrel pick? And we're like, yes, me. So yeah, good stuff. Check us out online, abvbarrelshop.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I would like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review. That includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. Farnance, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Hey, everyone. Adios.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some of the great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro is owned and operated by Russell Creed, who makes stills for the hobby distiller. He offers a one-stop shop for everything the at-home distiller needs. Whether it's a small, experimental stovetop still or something bigger you run outside, he has the still or parts you would have difficulty fabricating yourself if you were trying to build a DIY still project. Additionally, he has resources to assist in creating unique distilled spirits, including heirloom grains, barrels for aging, and recipes. Check out Russell's company online at moonshinestillpro.com. Finally, I have a question for you. Have you ever boxed a bear? Of course not. That'd be silly. Bears really don't follow the rules, so shots in the back of the head, punches to the nuts, and scrums after the bell would be the norm. A better idea would be to enjoy Boxing Bear Whiskey, a brand crafted by Nobleton's Distilling House in Union, Missouri, and sold exclusively at the ABV Barrel Shop in suburban St. Louis. This is a popular offering that sells out quickly, but when you're in town, stop by the ABV Barrel Shop and see if they have it in stock. Better yet, sign up for their email and text distribution over at abvbarrelshop.com and you'll know exactly when it is in stock. This is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, signing off. We thank you for listening to our programming and truly appreciate your support.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.